What's happening, savages? This is Immortal Coil, your future minister of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. It is Wednesday, November 11th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. on the West Coast, and it is time to get savage. With me, as always, is my tasty friend's Boilermaker, my weapon of choice, conceived of Buffalo Trace whiskey and Irish death. Doesn't make me smell too good. Doesn't really make me sound that good either. But it does make me think I'm more interesting. So, whatever it is you're drinking, hold it high and salute. Well, just prior to the broadcast, I got word that YouTube was having one of its hiccups. So I'm going to assume that probably I won't have as many people joining me in the live stream, but we do have our dedicated savages who do like to listen to us after the fact during the day when they're tediously clacking away at their mundane life and would like to get away from it all. So whether you're listening to us now or on the rebroadcast, hail, and we salute you. Before we get too far along, it is November the 11th, and it is Veterans Day. I come from a long line of military people, and their sacrifices should not go unnoticed. Veterans Day originally started as Armistice Day after the resolution of the Great War, which we now know as World War I. Following World War II, it was switched to Veterans Day. At the end of the Great War, people couldn't imagine anybody could fight on a global scale all over again. But we proved them wrong, didn't we? If humanity is good at anything, it's good at killing itself. But the larger struggle of World War II was to contain socialism and fascism and defeat them, beat back Nazi Germany and fascist Italy and empirical Japan, because that ideology is dangerous. And it is strange how it's trying to resurrect itself or paint itself in a different light or make itself seem cuter for the new generation. That's very, very dangerous. Part of the savage perspective I've adopted is due to veterans. And I have many friends who are veterans. Some of the people who come on and stream are veterans. And being raised as one, I tend to understand how they think, and they're sort of like straight to the point and no bullshit and swearing every other word and smelling like bacon and whiskey and gunpowder on a daily basis. It's just one of those things that I grew up with and sort of take for granted. Being a military brat myself, I have the great fortune of living in more than one location. We got Bone joining us. What is up, Bone? Thanks for coming on in. We're just riffing on some Veterans Day stuff. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, it always amazed me growing up how I'd meet people and they're like, "Yep, I lived here all my life. Grew up, raised here, born here, went to school here. Fell in love here, got married, reproduced here." And, taking their own little town for granted, and for me, every year, 2-3 years, I'd have to move. So I was perpetually the new kid, and it sort of allows you to reinvent yourself. Don't get me wrong. But there are things. Oh, we got Decepticon King joining us. What is up, Decepticon King? We're just riffing on Veterans Day for a little bit before we launch into the entertainment news. So yeah, if there's a veteran in your life, make sure that you thank them. Remember, this is not Memorial Day. This isn't about the guys who died. This is about the guys who served, men and women who served. So thank you for that. I hope everyone's having a good night here. So what's been going on lately? Well, I do have a couple of amusing articles, but I also have been kind of, uh, always on the search for something good to watch. And along those lines, I've found two kind of shows as a result of uh, the influence of my lovely lady, the Ms. Immortal Coil. And the first one I want to highlight here is a show called Raised by Wolves. And it is kind of an odd duck of a show. I am always very hesitant to approach new programming because I don't trust the motives of Hollywood creatives anymore. I don't know what I'm gonna get. Decepticon King did say that to a coworker. He's very cool, and you guys got stoned. Well, awesome. Shit, you stick your neck out, you might as well at least be able to enjoy a good spliffy. But yeah, Raised by Wolves, kind of a strange show. Me and my lady, we were just surfing around, kind of like poking around and trying to find some things to watch that we hadn't seen before. And we came across this show. This is done under the auspices of Tony Scott, and a lot of like big time directors are actually going out and starting like TV projects and little pet project things. HBO actually affords them the opportunity to perhaps express themselves a little bit better than network TV would allow. But Raised by Wolves is one of those post-apocalyptic shows, and its premise is that humanity has killed itself for the most part. Earth is made uninhabitable, and along the sort of like Terminator and Matrix and that sort of thing, AI was part of what happened. Humanity was split into two groups. One was very hyper religious, and one was atheistic. And the religious people utilized AI as weapons to fight their war. And it's really funny. The lady that you see holding the baby in her fighting mode, she emits these sonic blasts from her mouth that can disrupt the molecular cohesion of living tissue and basically turn them into pink mist. And they can fly. They're kind of like drones, but they're also anthropomorphic. So you can talk to them, you can look them in the face, all that kind of shit. But they can only fly in a Jesus Christ pose, right? It's really weird. So the image of Christ on a cross, hands out, arms spread out like it's the coming of the Lord. And I swear to you that I wouldn't be a slave, but you're staring at me like I'm driving in the nails. But what ends up happening is one of the atheists grabs one of these hunter killers, and they're actually called necromancers, which is an old term for what the Christians used to say was communing with the dead, but it's really just talking to non-corporeal beings. But don't tell a religious person that. So one of these atheists grabbed one of these necromancers and reprograms her because he knows that the world's going to shit. So he takes 12 viable embryos and programs her to be able to take them from a embryonic state to basically like birthing a baby inside of artificial wombs. And her and another android become like Adam and Eve, and they fly off to one of the Kepler star planets. Kepler is actually one of those stars that scientists have found habitable zone and a super Earth and all that kind of shit. So they fly out there, and then they're raising kids, and hilarity ensues. Yeah. See, Bone doesn't watch too much TV, mostly YouTube. Hey, I'm the same way, and again, I'm hard pressed to find anything that I actually like. The past couple things I found were actually based off of recommendations. I'm not so sure how Raised by Wolves is going to turn out, but it got me watching for a couple of episodes. So we'll see what happens with that. Decepticon King says, "You want to be the one on the cross or the one banging the nails?" Well, I guess that depends on your concepts of good and evil, huh? Decepticon King. The Decepticons thought that they were doing good, didn't they? And the Roman Empire, if you believe the story, saw Jesus as like a religious threat, so they killed him. And then when that didn't work, they stole his shtick and became the Vatican. So, yeah, Jesus took one for the team, yo. Big J, big guns in the sky, or just I guess this is a good segue as any. One of the other shows I've been watching is this one called Lucifer. Gonna have to switch screens on that. Sure. There we go. This show, Lucifer. It's what can I say about it? There are parts of it that I like, but parts of it are very fucking Scooby-Doo. This one I actually started watching because my lady's daughter liked it, and she's a teenager, and most of her motivations for watching shows are basically about actors she connects with. But she's a pretty smart girl. She knows that we kind of dabble in theoretical religion, philosophy, metaphysics, all that kind of stuff. Now, I am not a Christian. I am spiritual, but not religious. That's what savage spirituality is all about. Basically, when you boil it down, the golden rule is a good idea. Most faiths have a version of that, and then everything else is just variable. It's like, what robe are you wearing, and what fucking incense are you burning, and what happens, like what's their version of a punishment? Are they polytheists or whatever? But Lucifer kind of plays in the Christian sandbox, and there are guest stars that are other angels of the pantheon. If you're into I don't know, Kabbalah or Christian mysticism, some of the names that they come up with, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's that guy. Okay, all right. How are they going to treat it? This is one of those shows that started off on Fox. They do adhere to the diversity quotient. So you have a multicultural cast, which ain't bad. They're not actually presenting themselves as, the things that the Phantom Menace tends to rail against. And nor have I heard of any of the creative forces behind the show coming after fans for disagreeing with them or not liking a choice. Lucifer is interesting because he is the devil. He's Satan, and he gets tired of hell because he realizes that by sitting down in hell and punishing sinners, he's actually following his father's plan, which pisses him off because he's mad at his dad. So he says, fuck it, and he leaves hell, and he comes to the City of Angels, L.A., the Red Hot Chili Pepper song, but there he meets a human that he becomes enamored with because his powers, he's able to draw out people's desires and then use them to either manipulate the people or maneuver them into situations. He goes around and he makes deals with people. He's a little bit more schlick, like a car salesman. He's not quite like the Al Pacino devil. But he has his own charm. Of course, he's English accent because all evil people are English, aren't they? Um, but the human he becomes enamored with is a detective, and when he finds out that he could use his powers to bring criminals to justice, um, and his power doesn't work on her, so he's compelled to become her partner, and then it's kind of like a Scooby Doo, a bad guy of the week mystery machine that isn't too hard to figure out. Usually, each episode is like, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, uh, or whatever network TV minus commercials is. It's supposed to be an hour, but usually within, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, I already know who did it. The thing that I find compelling about the show is actually the celestial sort of soap opera drama shit, because he gets so close to telling her that he's Satan all the time, but that's what we want to see, so that's what they're holding off on. So yeah, it's all right. I wouldn't say like, yeah, go ahead and watch it because it's great, but if you're bored, it's somewhat entertaining. The last thing I'll touch on before we get into the news: Darth Vader, the comic book. This is the 2020 run, and so far I'm pretty impressed by it. Yeah, 1 out of 5. I agree. It's worth a wank, you know. But 2020 Darth Vader. This is one of those things that I was kind of skeptical going into it, because I thought 2015 Vader was pretty fucking good. 2017 Vader was really fucking good. And Darth Vader is really like the only comic book run that Disney hasn't quite completely fucked up. I know Darth Vader is in Dr. Aphra, but I don't really like Dr. Aphra, and I don't like how they're using her, and I don't like how much she gets around Darth Vader. I really, if I was Vader, I'd just kill the fuck out of her. But in this, the first 5 issues, he finds a clone. Well, not a clone. He finds one of Padme's royal guard who are still alive, and that's her doppelgangers. I think it was Sabe, actually. And we remember her from Phantom Menace, where, they go before that guy, Boss Nass, and her decoy goes first, and then Padme stands up. Who's this? Well, the decoy was the one that's featured in the Darth Vader comic, and when Vader first encounters her, he actually second guesses himself and thinks it might be Padme for a second, but then his senses come back to him, and basically they try to kill him. And the last thing that you should ever do is try to kill Darth Vader. Cover art is great. Yeah, I agree. That's on fucking point. Everybody's trying to Hayden Christianize Darth Vader, but this is closer to an evil version of what we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi. And I think if we were to see him unmasked, I'd want to see more stuff like that. Toby Moss, Dark Father. Yes, absolutely. George Lucas, he had that way with words, didn't he? He took stuff that almost sounded like a real word and then threw them together. And then we have great words like Darth Vader and Skywalker and Tatooine. But basically, because Darth Vader in this comic allowed himself to go and get touchy-feely and dabble in his past and think about Padme again, Palpatine gets pissed off, fucks up his cybernetics with the Force, just lifting him up in the air and crushing everything, electrocutes him, basically leaves him as a cripple once again, and then drops him off of Mustafar and says, okay, your job is to survive. And by the way, you can't use the Force. And by the way, we're sending an assassin after you. Issue 7 just came out. This is one of those things that if I were like my heroes, Star Wars Comics is one of those channels that I listen to that's purely about the comics and not really about the politics or the middle finger to the man kind of shit. It's just pure fucking Star Wars. I would love to do shit like this where I just go and like make the comic come to life, or just say how great it is. But unfortunately, I'm not that happy. I'm just not that happy. So I can't sit there and be like, the world is great. Check out these comic books and don't pay attention to anything else. Now entertainment obviously is how I distract myself from the realities of the world. But yeah, they're doing this one right. So far so good. They're kind of fucking around with throwaway ideas from the Rise of Skywalker, like one of the bad guys or one of the alien entities they encounter is from the rejected artwork. So we'll see what they do with that. And Marvel, Disney, don't fuck it up, because I'm actually enjoying this. All right. Well, so far we got 3 people joining us live. I appreciate you coming in. I was told by several people that YouTube was fucked up and like live streams were getting canceled or hacked into or interrupted. My buddy Sporkin News podcast, he does his Wednesday dump, which is similar to this show, where he just all the interesting articles he comes across that 900 other channels haven't already pontificated on. But apparently he got cut off in midstream. So, check his shit out, give him a thumbs up, listen to the rest of the show that didn't get shown. And, do the same here. Bone thinks Vader needs his own Baby Yoda to cheer him up. Maybe. I think Vader would probably kill Baby Yoda. Does Baby Yoda count as a youngling? Probably. Got Matthew Birkland. Hail from Istanbul, you guys. Holy shit. We've gone international. Well, hail, Matthew Birkland. Stay savage. I don't know. Are you allowed to drink in Istanbul? I would assume so. I mean, you have a Anglo-Saxon German kind of sounding name. So hopefully you're able to raise one. So salud. I'll take a shot for that. Istanbul, formerly known as Constantinople, the seat of the first papal dynasty before it got relocated to Rome. That's the place where fucking Constantine would kill you if you didn't go and decide on his version of Christianity. All right, Decepticon King's gonna smoke a bowl. Hey, that's fine. Pick your poison. Hail, hail, rock and roll. Yes, Bone, the Humpty Dump. That's Sporting News Podcast's news show. But you're listening to The Savage Perspective. It is November the 11th, 6:57 p.m. on the West Coast. And we'll get into the news of the weird, as it were. So if you can't tell, I'm kind of a dork about science and sci-fi. It's opened my imagination to space and time and all that kind of shit. I found this, and since we were just on Mustafar, cut astronomers discover Earth. Now, this is the author's attempt to be silly, but this is an artist rendition of K2-141b, and it says scientists have discovered a terrible, inhospitable hell planet floating through space, and before you say, I know, I live here, allow me to clarify. They found a second terrible planet besides ours. Okay. Now, fuck what this bitch has to say. And I'm not really too down with the message of the tone of the author here. But what they actually discovered was Stephen Walton, share the link, smash the like. My other brother from another mother. What up, motherfucker? Decepticon King smoking a bowl. I suspect author Stephen Walton would smoke one with you. But yeah. So what astronomers found actually was a lava planet. And this is a planet that is so hot that the precipitation is actually like molten rock. Crazy, because we were just talking about Mustafar. And what I want to know is, did astronomers discover the high ground? I don't know. Oh, Bone has a bowl there too. All right, you guys, we'll fucking spark them up. Puff, puff, pass, says author Stephen Walton. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll stick to my alcohol, but you guys tear it up. Get in that frame of mind, whatever makes you feel good, as long as it's not illegal or in poor taste. Okay, so high ground jokes aside, we'll get into some of the the shit that pissed me off. I guess Will Smith pisses me off a little bit, but this iteration of Doctor Who really pisses me off. Now it's not this woman's fault. Don't get me wrong. It's Chris Chibnall's fault, and I was actually kind of planning out my next video, and I'm kind of forming a schnot ball of an idea, but basically, Chris Chibnall is gonna say through writing, and I'm holding that up in air quotes. I know Steven's probably already taken a giant shit about this, but Doctor Who is going to come out as bisexual. And you see she's wearing that rainbow inclusivity. She's got the fucking Bajoran earring going on there. She's kind of I don't know. I wouldn't say she's hyper feminine. She has a square kind of jaw. But Doctor Who, bisexual. Now, here's the thing. If doctors or the fucking, Time Lords can regenerate as different genders, it would make sense that all of them would be bisexual. It would just be a bisexual planet, because you can come back and, fuck the dude that you have a crush on who's now a chick, I guess. But what I see this as actually exactly Decepticon King. Why do we have to know about the sexuality of Doctor Who? And it's because of Chris Chibnall. Now, Chris Chibnall, I don't know if the quote's in here. Okay. According to the source, okay, Chibnall feels Doctor Who has gone stale and needs to reflect society as it is now. This is probably a picture of Doctor Who having bisex. Somebody's bending her over I don't know, what is that? A tombstone? Bending Doctor Who over the tombstone of Doctor Who, because this ain't Doctor Who. Yeah. And part of what I'm starting to brainstorm and what I'm starting to think is that the political climate in the United States, and technically nothing is decided, but the attitude that the lamestream media has taken has emboldened creatives. And again, I'm holding that word in air quotes. But Bone says they are trying to get the rating numbers into the negatives. I didn't think that was possible until just now, but yeah. So Doctor Who is bisexual. Which I've been a fan of Doctor Who since the Christopher Eccleston days. Now I know that makes me, I guess, kind of trendy. Like I had to get on board with the reboot. I didn't get a lot of the references, but it did help me to, much in the same way that Next Generation helped people go back and watch old Star Trek. This got me to go back and watch Doctor Who from the 60s and the 70s and some of the shit from the 80s, but that was a little bit too leotards and, you know, Nerf pool French fry kind of special effects for me. But the Christopher Eccleston and the doctors who came in between him and this female doctor told some compelling stories more often than not. Now, Doctor Who is world renowned for its cheese, and it's totally a monster of the week. Let's see what kind of retarded plaster of Paris thing we can come up with. But Doctor Who got us to think about space and time as something that's wibbly wobbly. Is that the right word for it? And got us thinking about immortality and got us off the fucking planet for once. And shit like this, like this quote here, the source, Doctor Who needs to reflect society as it is now. Well, that's not getting us off of planet Earth. That is sucking us right the fuck back into planet Earth. You know, and Doctor Who has access to all of time and space. And I would say that he's obsessed with Earth for some reason. He's like Earth's guardian, or, you know, I don't know. Like Chibnall is probably going to have us use they, them pronouns for Doctor Who, since it could be a man or a woman. But throughout the years, Doctor Who has been not really portrayed as being sexually interested in many things. Now there were a couple of notable exceptions, but nothing quite so mundane as Doctor Who falling in love with an Earthling. Rose was about as close as it came, but that was ultimately denied. The Doctor Prime. Okay. I think he had a thing for the TARDIS. There was that one episode where he went to a junk planet and the spirit of the TARDIS got to possess a Frankenstein woman, and they got kind of flirty. And then Doctor Who and River Song, of course. But River Song was another Time Lord or Time Lordian. And so that made sense. Like, he was attracted to one of his own race. But bisexual. I don't know what that means, unless they're going to try to have the master be the mistress, Missy, and then have girl on girl kind of stuff. And I'll tell you what, if you make this doctor make out with Missy, the Time Lord, they're only going to make porno out of it. You know, the day after that airs, you're going to see her face pasted on to some lesbian porn, and there you go. Now, this is the thing, is it shouldn't fucking matter what their sexuality is. Doctor Who is not about marching through time and space and declaring them, you know, itself loud and proud. Hey, I'm bi. Guess what? I'm bi. We've already had bi characters, right? Fucking Captain Jack. He was pansexual before Lando even knew what the fuck that was. He'd fuck anything. But it wasn't the Doctor coming out and saying I'm bisexual. It's just like some fucking members of the universe care to do that versus others. you know, and Doctor Who is just there going, okay, onward and upward. So yeah, that's one of the things here. The other thing right off to the side is Doctor Who will no longer use a police box for the TARDIS. Guess why? The chat. Guess why? Oh, wait. It's because of police brutality. Police are seen as a, it probably even says in the article down here. Fucking all these trash ads. This is giantfrickinrobot.com, so don't expect Pulitzer or peer-reviewed anything out of this. But TARDIS London Police Box, if the rumors be true. YouTuber Noel at the TARDIS Zone is under threat due to how police are perceived in public. Yes. So the TARDIS, for those of you who are not into Doctor Who or who you know, think it's like uber nerdy, as I once did before I got into it. The TARDIS is a time machine, but it's also a space vehicle. And due to Time Lord science, it can fly anywhere in time and space. Now, the TARDIS originally had something called a chameleon circuit, which allowed it to blend in wherever it landed. So if it landed in prehistoric times, it could become a slab of rock. If it landed in ancient Greece, it can become a marble pillar. If it landed on a Zitcom 7, it can become a Gigglebeast or whatever the fuck. But the story goes that at some point the Doctor went to 1960s London, became obsessed with London, but the TARDIS disguised itself as a police call box. And back in the 60s, way before the internet and before all that kind of shit, if you were a vigilant citizen and you saw a criminal up to no good, you could subdue them and throw them in the police box. And there was a little phone on the outside that you could call the cops. And the TARDIS disguised itself as one of these police boxes, but then the chameleon circuit broke. And then it was just stuck as a police box. So for fucking 50 years, this has been the time and space machine for Doctor Who. But because in 2020, people can't fucking conceive of a police officer who actually cares about the community that they serve, Doctor Who's going to probably fix the chameleon circuit, or it's going to turn into a pink pussy hat or a dildo hat and make appearances at rallies to herald the coming outness of bisexual Doctor Who. Is that what we're doing now? TV show? So that's according to the giantfuckingrobot.com, a site that is completely garbage, and I hope that your only exposure to it is limited through the savage perspective. I need a drink after that. It's fucked up. It's depressing. But it's one of those things, much like Star Trek, Doctor Who is one of those things that if I want to watch it, I'll go back and watch reruns and stick my fingers in my ear and sing Flintstones as loud as I can in an effort to keep away this woke fucking Doctor Who shit. So, speaking of Star Trek, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is open to a Tuvix debate with Star Trek fans. AOC. Yeah, I can tell my my viewers are dropping like flies just at the look at this. Look at this. Now maybe she is a Star Trek fan. I don't know. I don't think she's a fan of much. Although the Star Trek crew are fans of Joe Biden. So because they're Democrats, I guess, AOC is cool with hawking them. So there was a episode of Star Trek Voyager, one of the classic Star Trek series, where thanks to a transporter accident, two of the crew members' DNA got combined. You had Tuvok, who was the security guard, a black Vulcan, and then Neelix, who was an alien from the Delta Quadrant. Tuvix, I guess that's what they ended up calling him, and exhibited characteristics of both, but was neither. And the moral dilemma in that particular episode was, do we use the transporter to take this being apart, or do we let it continue as it is? Apparently, AOC is cool with debating you on that, but I don't like her, and I don't like where Star Trek is going. So I'm going to pass on that. Besides, a lot of people in the Democrat Party are trying to insinuate that Star Trek is socialism done right, and that's what we should achieve and hope for, and all that kind of stuff. But Star Trek at its core is about self-governance, right? It's not like the Democrats won and then Starfleet happened. It's we don't need leaders. We're all leaders. So we stopped fighting. We started working together. Let's go to the stars and see what the fuck's out there. And I think that is one of the concepts that the writing team, if you want to call them that, doesn't get about Star Trek anymore. They want these sci-fi shows to reflect how things are now in their heads, and what their ideals of their versions of the future, the sci-fi shows could be. And that is nefarious, because that is what they're hoping to convince people, newcomers to the show, that's what the show was about all along. Well, us longtime fans see through the fog of lies. And in order to embrace a larger view of the Force, so yeah, no, AOC, stay away from my Star Trek. Just stay the fuck away. You're going to drive me to drink. Well, we got one person watching. It's probably my mom. Hi, Mom. Love you. And just in case that's Devin, take your hand off your dick. Don't do that while I'm talking. And get back to work, motherfucker. Okay. The last story of the evening is one that... now, as a rule, I don't typically jump on the bandwagons that everybody else is jumping on, just because it's sexy. But everybody's talking about this. I kind of hemmed and hawed at it when it first happened, but I have to tell you, in the DMs, we were just going off on this idea. And, you know, I'm in DMs with a couple of different YouTube creators, a couple of different fandom menacers. Some of them are really, really big, and some of them are just kind of like me, where we're just underground still. Now, I never really gave two shits about sub count or, you know, humping the algorithm or anything like that. But hey, if you're a big channel and you got a zillion followers, more power to you. but with great power comes great responsibilities. And I don't know, do you have a duty to talk about these things? A duty. Bone. Now there's 2 people watching. So Bone and my mother are both watching. Thanks for sticking with me, Bone. What we're gonna be talking about is chapter 10 of The Mandalorian, when this shit happened. Oh yeah. Now, plot-wise, it was tempting to say that this fucking episode had nothing to do with the larger scope of things in the Mandalorian universe. But what it did give us was this heated internet debate amongst geeks. So it's geeks turning on geeks. It's like geek cannibalism. And what was it? It's Baby Yoda eating these eggs. Now, I'm going to assume that everybody has seen The Mandalorian. And if you're listening to this and you know about my channel and all that kind of shit, it's pretty safe to say that you watch Mandalorian. But let's pretend that you have no fucking idea, and for some reason you jumped 45 minutes into the show. In The Mandalorian, in this season 2, Din Djarin is looking for other Mandalorians because he doesn't know what the fuck to do with this baby. And he goes to Tatooine, and the lady that works in the fucking Tatooine used car auto body shop, hair care and tire salon, says, this bitch knows where some Mandalorians are. All you got to do is fly her to, I forget the name of the planet, but turns out that the lady is a amphibious lady. They call her Frog. She's a frog lady, and she needs to get her unfertilized eggs. She needs to get her unfertilized eggs to whatever the fuck planet they're trying to go to, so that her husband can inseminate them and her bloodline can carry on. Now, a lot of people on the internet are saying that she's an endangered species and these eggs represent the last of their kind. That's not what I got. What I got was her bloodline, meaning her house, her family, her fucking crest, her royal arms. Bone hasn't watched season 2 yet. He might boycott it now because of the tweets. Well, I don't blame you, Bone. But what happens is, so she has like maybe 15 eggs that she's carrying around in this fucking canister, the TGRI Ninja Turtle canister. They're unfertilized, so they're just ova. And Baby Yoda, when everybody's asleep, sneaks into the cargo hold and starts slurping these things down like tapioca balls. And, you know, Sporking was giving me a shout out. Hell yeah. Spork's a good dude. And he's lucky I'm shouting him out. Thank you, Spork. But yeah, Baby Yoda starts slurping these things down until Mando comes out and goes, "What are you doing? No, 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 no!" And, you know, slaps his hand. And there's a couple of them left, but he puts Baby Yoda to bed and says, like, "That's fucked up. You can't do that." Which is kind of the thrust of this argument. So Baby Yoda is eating a sentient being's unfertilized eggs. And the logic here is that Baby Yoda is a fucking baby. And he puts things in his mouth. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't fucking care. It just looks good. So he puts it in his mouth. But the other side says, well, Baby Yoda has been shown to be carnivorous. You know, he ate a frog in a different episode. He ate a bug, I want to say, in a different episode. Why the fuck wouldn't he eat eggs? Okay. So it became this big like debate, like, is it cool for Disney, a kid show, to show Baby Yoda eating unfertilized ova? Or, is this like an abortion debate? Like, is every life, does all lives matter? Is this like this baby didn't get a chance to grow up? Or is this like eating unfertilized chicken eggs? Now I don't know how smart or sentient, especially chicken eggs, are, but we also have an ignorant baby, or somebody with a baby's mentality. Strong with the force, yes, but untrained. I think Bone dropped off. He probably didn't want to get spoiled too much, but he says, I heard mixed reviews anyways. Is this a filler episode already? It might seem so right now, yes, but David Filoni and Favreau are both very good at taking seemingly boring, insignificant details and developing them into the crescendo at the end of the season. Favreau did that very well with the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe. Little things that we thought were little things actually came back to be not so little. So what I'm thinking is that this frog lady, and she was actually given like a fucking teaser poster, like, chapter 2, and there's a frog lady with her backpack full of Yoda snacks, is probably like, her or her husband is probably going to be one of the things that gets the story moving. Like, oh, I know where Ahsoka Tano is. I know where Mandalorian is. All it costed was a couple of the unborn embryos, right? Bone's back. He says, I don't know why it dropped off. Bone, like I was saying earlier, a couple of the other YouTubers who were streaming tonight said that YouTube was being kind of fucky. So I don't know, man. Just hang in there, and if for some reason it cuts out completely, just check out the broadcast on replay. So yeah, that's part of what I think, is that these passengers and this frog race are gonna go on to be a minor character, but integral to the early part of the story arc. Kind of like how in the Clone Wars, which David Filoni helmed, Ahsoka Tano took this like retarded side race with these Martez sisters, and really pissed me off. I did a video about that, but it turns out that at the end of that misadventure, Mandalorians actually come and summon her to help out with the fucking Battle of Coruscant, or something where like she has to go and help contain Darth Maul, right? So something that's weird and odd and pisses me off suddenly turning into something that kind of moved the story along. And then my personal theory about Baby Yoda is this is actually going to be Yoda. And through the world beyond worlds, Ahsoka Tano is going to kick Baby Yoda through a time hole, and he's going to wind up in the Old Republic days and grow up and all this shit and become the master of the Force. Like, she should either be able to confirm that this is Baby Yoda, like actual Yoda, through the Force signature, the energy signature, or say that she knew somebody like this, but that's not him. And then once we get that explanation, then we can all go back to arguing on the internet, as it were. So that's my thoughts. That's going to be the show for tonight. Short and sweet, keeping it just about an hour. I'd like to thank, 4 people fucking popped in at the last minute. Well, I'm going to invite you guys to go ahead and check this out on the replay. Lift whatever it is you're drinking and stay savage.